Do people always tell you you should listen to God's voice, but you're like, that sounds really good? But what is God's voice? How do I know when it is God's voice? So today I'm going to talk about three ways that will help you to identify and discern whether it's God's voice. So the first one is, hmm, how does it feel? When you feel like you get a message or you hear something or you feel something and you're trying to decide, is it the divine? How does it feel in the body? Does it feel like it normally feels or it feels slightly different? Like it's coming from a different place? Does it feel like in your gut you know it to be true or in your heart you know it to be true? How does it land for you in the body? So you got to kind of check with yourself and check in. Don't just dismiss it. Like you may hear something or feel something and you're like, oh, no, that's not it. It's got to be something different. So you got to check with yourself and really decide, is that what it is? So knowing how it feels in the body is really important because it'll kind of give you a physical confirmation. Like if you realize, every time I get that feeling or I hear God's voice, I feel it here. It just does something here. It tingles or I get a palpitation. Then that's a hardcore signal. Or you feel it in your gut. Maybe it's almost feels like excitement or ooh, I'm not really sure. So your stomach might turn a little bit. That's a physical feeling of knowing that okay, I'm hearing the divine's voice. So you have to figure that out for yourself and play around with that for yourself to figure that out, to know, is that mine or is it not? The second thing to really ask yourself is, are there negative consequences? And I don't mean like the consequences or it's pushing you to do something that's uncomfortable or that you don't want to do. I mean, after you do what the message says, are there negative consequences for your life? Is your life, are you going to have to apologize for something? Are you going to have to really make up for something? Because think about this, the divine is not going to send you in a bad way, in a negative way, is not going to have you do something wrong. So if there's no negative consequences in that sense for the messages that you're hearing or the things that you're being led to do, then pretty sure it's the divine. And that doesn't mean that people in your life won't get upset because there may be sometimes people will get upset or people get left behind. But if that makes you a better person, then that's not a negative consequence. If that pushes you toward your passion, toward where you're supposed to be, to your happiness and your joy, then that's not a negative consequence for your life. People are in our life for a reason, season, lifetime. And sometimes it's hard to discern what that is. But know that the divine is always leading you to your joy, to your happiness, to things that feel really fulfilling. But to get to them sometimes, it doesn't always feel that great because we like our comfort. We like staying where we are. So sometimes we have to be pushed in another direction. I remember when I had this calling, the passion that I'm doing, my passion project, my joy that I do now, which is Mary Carroll's Foundation. And when I first got the call for it, I said, sure, yeah, okay, no problem. And then as it started to really land and sink in, it was like, ooh, wait, what? I have to let what go? I have to give up what in my life? And I have to uproot my home and open up my home to women who need help, who need a second chance to put their life back together. That was a big ask, I felt like at the time. But as I started to move and follow divine guidance, it felt easier and easier. And the things that felt in my head that were like a negative consequence weren't negative anymore, because the blessings and the joy of this and how it fulfills me superseded the things that I had to give up. And I think that's how you start to discern what is that God talking to you, that divine guidance that you're being given, is because your life opens up in ways that you couldn't even imagine when you're really following that divine guidance. And I know it was for me because the foundation is so much in my life right now. And, it's kind of like my main focus in my life right now. And I love it. It's growing in ways that I couldn't imagine. I just keep listening and feeling it out and saying, okay, God, where do I go next? What do I do next? And it pays off so wonderfully. So definitely, definitely don't, let those superficial consequences scare you. Really dig in and say, really, is there really a negative consequence to this? Because God's not going to lead you to something awful. Really isn't. Healing might feel awful, but it's never negative. It's always for your good and for your betterment. And the third thing to look at is to say, is this making me a better person? Is it pushing me to really that heart desire inside that kind of makes me uncomfortable, that kind of pushes me to grow? That's always what the divine wants, is to create something new, to create something improved, better, more fulfilling, more joyous, more happiness. And if that's where you're being led, then I call that divinely led. That's the divine sharing that with you. And as I share this with you in this message, I'm hearing the birds chirping louder and louder outside as even more of a confirmation. You know, the divine is always speaking to us. It's up to us to figure out, how do I hear it? How do I feel the messages? How do I know when the divine is talking to me? Gotta listen. Gotta listen. Still take that breath, quiet the mind, go in, see how it lands for you physically, see about the negative consequences. See about, does it make me grow? Does it push me to be more? And sometimes that more is more of who you really, really are inside, but we're afraid to be. And the divine is always saying, it's okay to be you. It's okay to step out and be that unique self. Yes, there might be people around who don't understand or don't know, and that's okay. Because sometimes they're not meant to understand. But you need to be your genuine, authentic self. And the divine wants nothing less. So that's another thing. The divine is pushing you always to grow into more of who you are, who you were created to be. So I hope these tips were helpful in helping you to discern God's voice, the divine voice. And let me know down below in the comments, how do you discern? How do you know when you're hearing, God guidance, that divine voice? Let your sisters know. Help us out so that we have more tips and techniques that we can use to discern and know God's voice, so we can live this more fulfilling life and be happy along this sacred journey that we're on. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to this channel. We would love for you to be part of this sisterhood and join us. Have a phenomenal, phenomenal day. Take care. Bye.